Good morning. Today is Saturday, October 4th, 2025, and it's early in the morning. Not super early, but it's early. It's early for a Saturday. And, yesterday I went off in my vlog, and it did feel cathartic and good to say what I had to say. But of course, the way that Nicole is I had to, go back and think about things and analyze. And, I can be sometimes my harshest critic in all the things. And so there's just a couple things that I wanted to kind of clarify about why I got to the point of being so frustrated with this person that I was talking about in my vlog yesterday. I also understand that I am not great when it comes to verbally confronting a person or verbally expressing myself if I'm afraid that the other person is going to get upset with something that I've said. And so I've bottled in I've bottled in a lot as it relates to this person in terms of some of the things that I've experienced with them. And so yesterday was kind of just that breaking point. And usually I'm the type of person where instead of having a confrontation with somebody, I might try to say something if something is bothering me, but a lot of times I just walk away. I'm just like, okay, I've gotten to the point where you've gotten on my nerves so much that I'm just over you, and I don't want to be around you, don't want you in my orbit, don't want you in my energy, because I'm just tired of certain behavior, and I don't really express myself as it relates to the behavior in the moment. So, I have received comments before of like, well, why didn't you say something? And it's like, I don't say something because I am not confrontational. I grew up around mostly adults who I feel like weren't good at listening to me when I had certain feelings. And so I learned to bottle things up inside, and just emotionally volatile and explosive. So I just learned to deal with stuff and internalize it and not necessarily get into a confrontational situation. And sometimes there's been points where I do get to a point of like where I have to say something. But a lot of times that saying something comes in writing, because when I'm in my emotions and in my feelings, I start shaking and I get emotional. And if I'm angry, then I start crying and those kinds of things. So a lot of times, I'm not good at verbalizing when I'm pissed off, especially. And so yesterday was cathartic and wonderful for me to express that, because this person, if they ever happen upon my vlog, this one particular person that I was talking about will know that I'm talking about them. And so it feels good to finally have a way to cuss and explain how pissed off I was, even if I couldn't explain to them how their behavior pissed me off. I mean, like I said, I did check them, but I didn't check them in the way that I went off in my vlog. And so what I will also say about this person is it's a culmination of holding things in as it relates to the ghosting, as it relates to when you or when I have communicated with them and it's clear that they have problems with comprehension and reading, maybe not because they're stupid, but they're just moving too fast and don't read. And then on top of that, they complain about everybody else and their communication, but have no self-awareness about how ridiculous they can be sometimes with not actually comprehending what's going on, remembering facts incorrectly, all kinds of just annoyances that I have just not said anything about. So yesterday was kind of the culmination of that. And with this person, I just stopped spending as much time with them because they were getting on my fucking nerves with this bullshit. And so instead of just saying in the moment or checking the person in the moment, yesterday was the first time that I actually was like, look, you just gone over the line now. Like, this is, I'm sick of your smart ass remarks and trying to correct me when basically, bitch, you need some correction. So anyways, last week, I went to my little, well, I call him my cousin, but we're not really cousins, but he's like a nephew to me. I went to his basketball game, and the coach on the opposite team was constantly yelling at what looked like one of his team members. And these are like little kids. They're like, 12 years old or something. And the coach was just yelling at this one little boy. And I realized that this has got to be his son. And he's so hard on his son and constantly yelling at him in front of other people and everything. And like I said, because I've grown up around emotionally volatile people like that, I just don't like confrontation. And it terrifies me because I'm afraid of my feelings. I'm afraid of like crying and going crazy. So that's why the vlogging really helps me sometimes to get out how I feel without actually having to get into an argument with somebody. Like, if I've gotten into a verbal argument with you, which is extremely rare, but if I've got into a verbal argument, you must know that I have been holding back so much to get to that point of actually getting into that verbal argument, because that is not my thing. So anyway, I just wanted to come on here to say that I know that I have communication challenges when it comes to verbally expressing myself. And if a person, if their way of communicating is more verbal than it is written, that could be a challenge and incompatibility in our relationship, because I do express myself better in writing and prefer people who don't have reading comprehension problems and can actually understand. But even this person will, I will make adjustments and communicate with them verbally, but even then they still remember facts wrong and start making up stories and stuff. So they still do need to work on their communication. And I don't take back what I said. I just wanted to add further clarification. I'm over here looking at my notes to see if there's anything else I wanted to say. But I think I covered it. So anyway, make it a great day. And even if I do get mad or express myself in an emotionally volatile way, or it seems like it in my vlogs, just know that if you experience me in person, you probably never experienced that side of me of all the cussing and going off and all those things, because that's just a cathartic release. But actually in person, I'm the type of person that is overly accommodating, trying to always smooth things over, trying to get validation and make sure you're not mad at me. So this is a new phase for me to actually put myself first and express myself without censorship and say, you know what, like, stop trying to correct Nicole all the time and correct somebody else when they're just out of line. And that smart ass comment was just the last straw of many smart ass comments that I've been putting up with and not saying anything. So anyway, make it a great day. And if you're the type of person that's not good at responding to written communication, we're probably not compatible, because I'm a writer. And so, just make it okay. There's 7 billion people in the world. We don't have to be cool like that. So I did have to listen to what I just said, and I just want to add a couple of things. One is I've been looking for a vendor related to something that I need to do regarding my house. And there's this one particular vendor that I've been over time going back and forth with, and we were texting, and then he called me. And when he called me, he just verbally vomited all this shit that just overwhelmed me, of just like you're giving me too many details. You're telling me too much. I don't need to know all this information. Just can you fucking do it or not? And so I realized that I also am not a, I process information better in writing and reading than I do, people who have to do a lot of verbal gymnastics with me. And so that's number one, is that maybe this person that I got frustrated with, maybe our styles are just incompatible. But like I said, usually with communication style A, they're decent about being responsive with that communication style. But I also just don't like the smart remarks, and the fact that even if they're good about responding that way, they're not good about comprehending what was fucking written. And so, and the other thing is that they're constantly complaining about other people having poor communication skills and being disorganized. But sometimes it's like, you really need some self-awareness in terms of like your comprehension skills and how you're responding to people. And then I don't like the critical smart ass remarks. So I want to pause there and first just acknowledge that I wanted to add that is that I realize that if you're the type of person that has to talk a lot, then we're not compatible. And then the other thing I would say is, as I was listening to myself, that everything that I said about not being verbally argumentative and all those things, I have probably taken out in my romantic relationships with men. So that has not been the case in terms of my romantic relationships. That would have been probably the one quote unquote best friend that I had that I let loose and let everything out. So if I was in a romantic relationship with you, and I'm really only speaking specifically about maybe my ex-husband, the ex-boyfriend that I had right before him, and then maybe which I was with my ex-husband for 20 years. And so I would give him an earful. But when it comes to other people, not verbally expressive. So my exes definitely got a lot of verbal expression. But generally speaking, it's not my style. I like to process information. I like to think about it. I like to think about what I say, because clearly, if you see me talking off the top of my head in my vlogs, clearly, if I'm just expressing myself, I can go in and say some crazy stuff. So that's why I like to think about it and process and not just be emotionally volatile and go off in that way. So anyways, I just had to add that addendum, and again, make it a great day.